Welcome to B2B Marketing Unlocked, the podcast that helps CEOs, business leaders, and marketing executives unlock brand growth. In each episode, I bring on industry experts to share their journeys, lessons learned, and the marketing secrets that drive results, while also sharing my own strategies along the way. I'm your host, Jony Mansilla, founder of Jony Studios, where we help businesses create profitable podcasts and content that drive growth. Let's dive in. Hello and welcome to another episode of B2B Marketing Unlocked. Today we have David Honig. He is the executive recruiter for Market Search. David, thank you for coming on.
My pleasure. Thanks so much for the invite and excited for this. We seem to be playing in the very, very similar ballparks.
Yes, 100%. So I'm excited for this episode because we're going to have a different perspective here. You are a recruiter and especially you specialize in B2B marketing roles, right?
We specialize in marketing.
Yeah.
So that in itself is pretty unique. You've got, powerhouse, giant global firms that, are generalists. And we're not. I love marketing. I grew up in marketing before I got into executive search and have had the pleasure of really watching it evolve. But marketing in B2B is a big part of what we do for sure. And even watching how that's evolved over the years has been a lot of fun.
What are you seeing companies looking for that they weren't 5 years ago in the marketing space? I think you have a great insight on that, right?
Yeah, you bet. 5 years ago is very different than 2 years ago, and 2 years ago is a 180 to what it is at the moment. It has been incredible to watch in a very, very short amount of time. What we have is a lead marketing role that is most likely downgraded from a CMO title to a vice president title for most firms that are looking for someone who is hands-on, broad-based, and I'm going to go there, has a working knowledge of in-market AI tools. This is not someone who is, I'm, AI curious or what have you. That ship has sailed. This is someone who is AI savvy, understands how to work with really the best AI tools and siphon that. There's something like 75,000 at last check AI companies that are out there. So if you want an AI tool for marketing, you're gonna have it, but it's a matter of saying what really works. Tool savvy, martech savvy, for sure. And everyone is tied to revenue and marketing in particular. So 5 years ago, that wasn't like it. It was brand and, how do we create the best possible campaign and get it out there over email, which is definitely nowhere in the mix here. And now it's differentials to see how do we really break through the clutter as a company that has 75,000 AI-related companies that are out there that is not at RSA from last week. We had tons of candidates that were there last week, and you can't tell one from the other. What makes you different? And to have that differential, to have that positioning, and to have that ties to revenue as a lead marketer is more important than I think it's ever been. And it shows in the job description. It shows in the private equity companies that are backing these firms in a time of, what could be really substantial growth if they've got their differentiation down. And that's what the vice president roles of marketing are doing now.
Oh, that's amazing. And yeah, I can imagine it's shifted quite a bit, right? In the past, it was probably just based on experience. I bet that's still very important now, like the kind of experience they have in the past leading teams. But now it's even getting more operator level, I would assume, where it's like, okay, how can we get the most out of this team with AI workflows, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And it depends on the sizes of the company as well, because those leading teams look a lot different from an org chart than they looked before as well. So we're working with digital transformation software development firm, and this person is going to come in, and what was a team of 80 is now a team of 40 across fields, events, demand gen, martech, and what have you, and really understand how to keep those people engaged, keep the culture high, understand that there's less risk because these are, the pillars of what we need to keep a firm like this, their organization within marketing going. And then when you go to the smaller firms, like the 25 to 75 million dollar high growth PE backed firms, those teams have just been siphoned out. So they've really got best players, multi utility players, Swiss Army knife that everyone likes to call jack of all trades, on board, working directly at the round table with the CRO and the CEO, and most likely reporting into PE as far as how their performance, and what their performance are garnishing for revenue based upon the campaigns they've developed.
How did you get into marketing leadership recruiting? How did this all start?
Sure. I worked on the agency side of things in advertising agencies, realized I was terrible at what I was doing, knew I loved recruiting, knew I loved marketing, I should say, advertising, and just, how things are getting done within that world. Loved the people I worked with, and went to a recruiting firm, tried it out, and got like the 101s of recruiting. And then, kind of went up the food chain with that. Ended up with a consulting firm that was really strong in executive search as well as review consulting, and then went out on my own, and market search has evolved since then. So now we do national, sometimes international search. B2B is a really heavy hand in that, with clients. And it's been phenomenal. So I still get to work with the same people. I still love it, which has been a while. And the network that we have is amazing. So we've been able to build up an incredible network of trusted candidates that we've worked with time and time again, trust clients that keep coming back, which is the best form of flattery, as you know, for sure. And it's across the board. So it's something where, it keeps giving, basically. So I'm very, very lucky to be in the position I'm in.
That's awesome.
Thank
And
you.
what do you look for when you start placing senior marketing talent in these companies? What is something that really, let's say, like our audience is mainly very niche to marketing leaders and B2B leaders in general. Let's say one of the marketing leaders is listening right now, and they're curious of like, okay, what do I need to have that would pique your interest to give you a great opportunity, right?
Yeah, for sure. And each opportunity is different. So it's not like you're working for Johnson and Johnson and you're going to go into most parts to a fledgling fintech that's in Brooklyn. It's
Mm,
probably not going to work.
yeah.
So I think that what we need to do is really, really need to understand what fits in a comfortable shoe. What really is going to fit in that environment, in what the asks are, and what have you. And that's where we come in. So when we work with clients, we're not going to present you with 30 different candidates and basically, just see what sticks and who sticks. It's very, very specific. On the flip side, when we have a search and we're tapping you 10 to 1, it's probably about a 95 percentile level of success that search is that shoe. It's going to fit you. And it's going to fit well in where you're at in your career, and basically what it's going to take for you to get to the next level in your career. And we'll help you position you so that you're successful. And most importantly, so our client has someone who's going to last and grow with them in the right role versus trying to stuff someone in that's not a match. Bad hires are really toxic. Again, very cliche type mentality with that, but you don't realize what a bad hire does to a company. Everything from Glassdoor to, management, just chopping them off of the legs and more, as well as cost. So it is really imperative that we get the right people in the right roles, and that's why people come back to us. I don't know engineering, I don't know accounting, I know marketing really well, and we do it really well as far as placement.
What are some red flags you see? You're saying like if they're not a fit for the role, it's someone that you do not want to place with a certain company. Is there any patterns you have noticed that you're like, you know what, this might not be the best fit, or you won't even engage at all?
Yeah. Marketing is linked to sales for
Mhm,
sure. Marketers are somewhat of a salesperson, but they're not salespeople.
mhm,
So when you have someone who is just trying and trying and trying to make something fit that's not going to fit, for sure. So you'll spend, 10 minutes graciously on the phone with them. I could do it in about 10 seconds
yeah.
to know that this is not going to work. And you've got to have relevant experience to whatever the client ask is. That's the most important. So if you can't see that right up front, then we have an issue. KPIs. What have you done, man? And what have
Mm,
you owned? What types of campaigns are you driving? How has that tied right back into revenue and created your company going from here to here? And, how have you been recognized for that? So KPIs, and an ability to articulate that in the most recent form. What have you done for me lately? I think are the key things that I want to see. Most recruiters in this position want to see from the get go, and that you're confident, you're going to be able to present well, and especially, I mean, the roles we recruit for are vice president and above, so these are going to have pretty high profiles within the organization. We want to make sure that you can project that and that you're going to come with vision. What I want to see is that we're not putting a person in from company A to company B and they're going to do the same thing. We want some
mhm.
vision as well.
Oh, that's great. Some
Yeah.
gold nuggets there for sure. So proof. Proof is super important. I would say that's not only even applicable for big marketing roles like you're saying, but I would say that in general in businesses, like we work on the agency side helping businesses develop leads and pipeline, all that stuff. And
Uh,
again, like you said, if you don't have the proof, people aren't going to want to work with you, right? So the first thing people want to know is like, all right, what have you done for others, or like, what's your background? Do you have experience in B2B marketing? What's kind of like your resume? So I think that's so important for people to know. I think some marketers can not really pay attention to the growth they've actually helped out with, and it's important to track that. Even if it's in a broader sense, like, okay, how have you helped the company, and really nail down that, right?
I'm in agreement. Own it. Be
Yeah.
proud of it. Don't take advantage of it and say this is someone else's work that's not my own,
Yeah.
because we'll see that.
Hmm.
But own it and say, what, this is what I was able to do with my career and advance it. Um, you're a marketer, and it's funny that when we interview marketers, a lot of them become very shy and bring in the, well, I'm going to collaborate and collaborate, which is wonderful, depending on the opportunity. But on the other side, own it, and be proud that you're able to really develop your career and have some great milestones along the way.
For sure. And how are you seeing marketing teams being structured right now? I know it's going to change depending on the size of the company, but in these VP roles, are the marketing teams shrinking, or is it large teams still, and leadership is still a really important role where you're kind of coordinating everyone? How do you see that?
Yeah, I see marketers and lead roles becoming marketing tech. Um, Definitely tech savvy people.
Mm,
And for sure, I mean, everything to do with digital AI tools, like I mentioned. And I will tell you, even on the junior levels with the people graduating, there's so much talk about we can't get a job. I just graduated and I can't get a job. I can't help them, unfortunately, because we need to, companies hire us for candidates that are experienced in the field. But the candidates that are graduating from great schools and have the skills in marketing technology to know how to navigate those tools in market are going to be invaluable to companies. So I see those people getting attached to those organizations that see that as well. We need the person that can brand us on TikTok. I don't care that you're B2B. The engineer is scrolling through TikTok while he or she is on a flight because there's nothing else to do, and that's when the differentiation is going to happen, which is really cool. So I see a lot of that happening at all levels, really unique channels as well. Again, going back to RSA for last week, the clutters there is incredible. To break through that and understand what's going to really drive people to your booth and have some type of memorable experience is what a great B2B marketer can do. And B2B is really, for all intents and purposes, while you're not fighting for shelf space, you are talking to a consumer. And to consumerize B2B, because we're way past, looking at a semiconductor or something that is just Greek and we don't understand it. We really do understand it. And the end user is, a quote unquote consumer, even though it's a business, you're talking to the end buyer. So to understand that customer journey and what that's all about, I think is imperative now more than ever.
For sure. We see a lot of students going to these good universities and colleges. If they start diving deep into all these different AI tools, workflows, how they can streamline processes and then showcase that, they're going to be in a whole other tier with all the students that are coming out trying to compete for these same marketing jobs, right?
Absolutely, completely. It's like going to a, co-op program that, you've got in-market usage and that immediate, or you got to have an internship that immediately becomes tangible and has you at a higher value when you graduate. So now take that and duplicate that into a vice president with, 15 to 20 years of experience. You want to make sure that that person has similar tools. And these tools are so user-friendly. I am the biggest tech tard going. I can't, operate most most things.
Mhm.
But for whatever we pick up, you mentioned Claude or, ChatGPT on the most generic type of AI tool, but it's easy, it's user friendly, and it's completely applicable to how you market yourself, how you market your company, how you market yourself on LinkedIn as well. We're all marketers, and this is why we love doing it. So, get out there and stay out there.
That's so true. And tell me, what separates top marketing leaders from average ones?
Yeah. Personality for sure.
Okay.
So you talk about human touch,
Mm-hmm.
you know, a top marketer is going to guide, going to inspire, going to create vision. And to get on and meet someone like that, you automatically know, I want this person because they're going to do that for my company. Company A needs to have that feeling that this person has. Male, female, what have you, can go lead a bunch of people and say, this is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to test and learn and use data, use KPIs, and bring that in so that we can advance the revenue and really create something that could be average and is great into greatness. And to get that energy that you can get from interviewing someone just right off the bat, you get excited as a recruiter. I really want to represent you because you just rock. Your resume is awesome. You've got the KPIs. You present well. For any retained search that we do, we are a retainer-based search firm. Everyone is met face to face, and you truly understand that this person we're representing is going to represent us well as fit the job from, experience as well as personality.
Mm. And it's funny you say that because I feel like since everything's going so digital, right? So into the tech, so into the AI, personality and that personalized touch is becoming a way to actually stand out, right?
Yeah.
Human meetings, handwritten notes, sending little gifts, things where it's like physical because we're all so overwhelmed with all the tech. I think that's a whole other side of it that is super important to leverage as well. Being able to actually like who you're working with, that's so important. For a leader, you want to be able to communicate that vision and get everyone ramped up and excited to want to keep leaning into this, right?
You're a cheerleader, man.
Yeah.
You are the football captain. You are for marketing. You are the one that you want the team behind you. So yeah, I'm in agreement with that. Handwritten notes, I'm not too sure about. Could be a little, old school, but something that's going to really create difference. There are a lot of people on the market, but for sure, I think the riffs have lessened a lot over the past year. And what we're seeing is that the need has increased. So why and how do you fit, like you had mentioned earlier, is so critically important. And then to match that with the gift wrap that we're looking for from a personality with KPIs as the gift, that's the best package.
Nice. And what is the biggest challenge you see marketing leaders face today?
Understanding that you need to be married to CROs, understanding that the CDRs, BDRs, I'm sorry, SDRs, and BDRs are the best people on your football team, as far as defense, and you need to prepare them well. And then, of equal importance is that you have a phenomenal marketing team and working for a company that is dedicated to marketing. And I think if you have all those, you're going to be able to impact the growth of the company and really succeed nicely. So to have a seat at the table, collaboratively work together interdepartmentally, and be, tool focused is a phenomenal benchmark for a great marketing leader.
That's good to know. And do you see any pushback from, let's say, the CEO or some leadership roles that don't find as much value in marketing leadership or in the marketing team? I know sometimes there can be that pushback, right? They don't realize how important marketing actually is. But,
Yeah.
you know,
I mean, think about B2B as well, because, there's a high volume of engineers who've gone into, founder led CEO type roles. And those people, ordinarily are not marketers,
right.
and marketing is fluff and what have you. And, again, to have these epiphanies by people that can fit into those roles and show the data that's behind why, we need more marketing dollars, contributed from C's and what have you, I think will really make them continued successes. But I'm biased. So I think marketing is going to drive everything for the company.
Yeah.
And it's literally the heartbeat of B2B, B2C, and what have you to really get the phones ringing.
100%. And what's a trend or shift that has surprised you recently?
Um, the amount of marriage between revenue and marketing, it's definitely a very, very thin line. And even over the past couple of years, the amount of SDR, BDR teams that are actually reporting into marketing, the compensation structures that are now focused on achieving milestones. If you're into demand generation, quarterly milestones for that equal, better compensation, unique compensation structures as well for lead marketers that are truly tied into, signing enterprise contracts. And, something like that was not in the same house as marketing was years ago, and now it very much is.
I think that's actually a win-win because it forces the marketers or the BDRs or the team that's in that structure to want to strive to do the best they can possibly do, because then they're going to have more of an incentive to do that. Whereas in the
Yeah.
past, maybe they would have no stake in that or no compensation structure, and sometimes that can be a bit harder to motivate, right?
Thoroughly. So you have data-driven marketing leads that, look at ABM, look at personalization and, revenue accountability, and understand that that's their bottom line.
Mm.
They are tied to that revenue. So make sure that your, buyer journeys are tight, and that, there's no glitch here, or understand where the glitches are, so that the campaigns are not generic. They're very customized, and using AI as a competitive advantage, now you can personalize the heck out of them and own the revenue for marketing.
Right on. What mistakes do companies make when hiring marketing leaders?
Literally, I've seen it all. So the first thing that comes to mind is that you are just really turned on by someone's resume, and the fact that you are looking at where they have been from a company standpoint, that you're company centric, and not understanding actually where they fit in the company and what they were able to do, especially with larger companies. Global companies tend to have global titles, and that doesn't necessarily mean that that person is working, hands on in the way that we need them to, and can morph nicely into what that particular company does. So I see a lot of people turned on by, specific companies, and that's not necessarily a claim to fame for success for certain roles. I'd love it to see if, companies could really just look at the actual person, responsibilities, and then take it from there. Not, I'll speak out of both sides of my mouth, because, you've got someone from a top consulting firm, with some type of Ivy League degree that could do it. We're talking a little bit different.
Yeah, for sure. But that is a really good piece of advice, I would say,
Thank you.
because it's not always just about what's on the piece of paper, and especially now too, right? Like, you can make your resume look so incredible, but I think that's why in the interviews, it's really important how you structure it, I would assume, to really see how well they actually know their stuff, what type of responsibilities, like you mentioned, they're responsible for, and how that will fit into this new organization, because sometimes they're structured so differently, it may not always correlate, right?
You're 100% correct. And there's so many resume writing tools that are going to do crosstabs and, make your resume look better than any career coach could possibly ever do in about 3 minutes or 3 seconds. And it's up to us. It's up to talent, HR, outside executive search, to say, really, what did you do? We do more reference checks now than I think ever, to really make sure that it is a smooth path, and that, we'll do backdoor checks and what have you to make sure these people are right.
Nice. That's good to know. And let's do a quick fire round. So this is basically, I'll ask you a few questions and you can just answer off the top of your head. What's a marketing resource, habit, or tool you recommend?
LinkedIn.
Oh, nice. That's top. That's true, especially for a recruiter, right?
That's it. End of conversation.
Yeah. Who's someone who has influenced your thinking recently?
I would say that there are some influencers within marketing that are widely known. I mean, I can give them plugs, like Dave Gerhardt, who just does an insanely amazing job as far as staying up to date in the community, and really has a valued opinion, followers, influencers, has, products and services on his own that I think are amazing.
Right on. And what's advice you'd give to your younger self?
Open an IRA earlier, invest. No, in all seriousness, that, this this is coming from me as a dad as well now, and looking at what a jerk I was in my 20s, is to say that your education, man, is going to get you far. It really is. To be the best at what you can do, to be the most educated, to be tenacious about keeping yourself ahead in education is key. I look at the people that are in marketing communications at the moment and just have not moved. You gotta keep refreshing yourself. Look at the tools we're talking about through this entire conversation is how do we get the best possible tools that are going to help us make money? It's really that simple. So to continually educate yourself on technology, not be afraid of it, again, it's very user friendly on whatever you're going to do, but I would have, said to myself to continue to do that.
Nice. David, this was insightful. Thank you so much for taking the time.
My pleasure. Pleasure to meet you.
That's it for today's episode of B2B Marketing Unlocked. I hope you found valuable insights to help you grow your brand and scale with confidence. If you enjoyed this conversation, be sure to follow the podcast so you never miss an episode. Want to unlock the power of podcasting for your business? Visit jonystudios.com. That's JONY studios.com, where we help businesses create profitable podcasts and content that drive growth. Thanks for listening, and see you in the next episode.